Farage is indeed a quintessential representative of the people, as he once again boldly dismantles Keir Starmer for the ridiculous decisions he has made for the UK in less than 100 days in office. Now, let's follow how Nigel Farage delivers crushing blows to Keir Starmer. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of the latest political news from across the country. Nigel Farage has always been seen as a model representative of the masses, and this is clearly demonstrated by the way he connects with voters in Clapton. This is not merely a political stunt, it is Farage's genuine empathy for their frustration over the unfulfilled promises of the Labour Party. Imagine living in a small town where politicians constantly promise to address the issue of immigration, yet nothing ever changes. Farage has listened to the concerns of the voters and realised they are tired of empty promises and unrealistic hopes. Meanwhile, Yvette Cooper has proposed an ambitious plan, committing to deport tens of thousands of illegal immigrants by the end of the year. While the theory sounds appealing, Farage remains sceptical about its feasibility. He does not hesitate to criticise Cooper's plan, calling it a pipe dream. Farage believes that Cooper is deluding herself by thinking that this issue can be easily resolved with a magic wand. It seems that the Labour Party hopes the public will continue to believe in their old promises, while in reality, the government has failed to control the situation. Farage boldly states that the commitments from the Home Secretary are nothing more than empty words. He argues that the Labour Party is merely prolonging the status quo, pretending they can resolve everything. In his view, the promise of deportation never had a chance of becoming reality. This is just a classic example of politicians making grand promises that they cannot deliver on. And the people in Clapton are the ones who bear the consequences. Farage consistently emphasises that he does not believe in the Labour Party's flashy promises to tackle the issue of illegal immigration. He criticises their magic approach, pointing out that they act as if every problem can be solved with a snap of the fingers. For Farage, this is truly absurd. Farage is also sceptical about Keir Starmer's ability to have a genuine plan to tackle this issue. He emphasises that Starmer's silence is no different from an admission that he accepts the current situation, despite its impact on national interests. Notably, when Farage mentions Brexit, he asserts that the public did not vote to leave the EU only to face rampant uncontrolled immigration. Brexit was once a promise of regaining control, particularly regarding immigration. However, Farage argues that the Labour Party has betrayed this spirit by continuing to allow uncontrolled migration flows after Brexit. He points out that the public decided to leave the European Union to restore sovereignty and control over borders, but the Labour Party does not respect this will. According to Farage, Brexit is not just about trade or international relations, it is also about protecting the British people from external threats. Yet, the Labour Party's policies fail to achieve this. Farage notes that Starmer's silence on current issues clearly indicates that he does not want to fight for the real change that the public desires. Farage appears to remind people, ensuring that past promises are not forgotten. The urgent issue at hand is how to help more people secure housing, thereby rebuilding communities and infrastructure from the ground up. This is the story of the relationship between supply and demand. It is quite clear that each year the UK can only build around 200,000 to 250,000 homes, but this number is still insufficient to keep pace with the annual population growth. One analysis shows that to meet the demand from the wave of legal immigration to the UK, a new home needs to be built every 4 minutes. This exposes the scale of the problem. Farage does not hesitate to point out the housing crisis in Clapton. He describes the situation as increasingly serious, while housing continues to be built at a rapid pace as if there were no tomorrow. Despite numerous new developments, there is a lack of investment in supporting infrastructure. No new clinics, no additional schools, and even the roads are inadequate to handle the increased traffic flow. Residents in Clapton are beginning to feel mounting pressure, and Farage asserts that the new housing projects are creating a potential disaster. He believes that the Labour Party's policies have neglected these communities, treating them as secondary, resulting in overcrowding in schools and clinics. This is the root cause of the public's frustration. It is not just a few scattered houses. Hundreds of homes are being built without considering the impact on those already living in the area. Farage points out that this injustice is gradually taking shape, and he warns that if the situation continues, small towns like Clacton will fall into crisis. In the context of the UK having left the European Union, Farage argues that treating immigrants from India and Romania equally is reasonable. However, he warns that with the current criteria, the number of immigrants coming to the UK from outside the EU is likely to increase. There are no specific limits, and the current immigration system seems to be open to more people rather than reducing the numbers. Farage expresses concern about the UK's increasing reliance on foreign labour, particularly in the healthcare sector. He points out that the UK has missed the opportunity to train its own citizens for essential jobs, resulting in a severe shortage of doctors and nurses, to the extent that it has to import labour from other countries. In his view, this is a failure of national policy, and relying on foreign labour is a significant mistake. Farage emphasises that instead of continuing to import foreign labour, the UK should focus on training and developing its domestic workforce. He argues that this is not only strategic, but also reflects the nation's spirit of self-reliance. Bringing in nurses from other countries, especially when those countries also need workers more than the UK does, is something he considers unreasonable and a betrayal of national interests. He also warns that many areas in towns and cities across the UK have now lost their inherent identity. The issue of immigration control, whether legal or illegal, will be a key topic in the upcoming general election. To address the immigration crisis, Farage suggests increasing border patrols by adding thousands of police officers. But he also points out that a significant obstacle is the European Court of Human Rights, ECHR. Farage strongly criticises the ECHR's interference in UK decisions, such as the last-minute cancellation of the flight to deport individuals to Rwanda in 2022. He asserts that for the UK to regain full control of its borders, the influence of the ECHR must be eliminated. According to Farage, it is crucial for the UK to determine its own immigration policy without outside interference. If the Reform UK Party achieves its objectives, they will begin by breaking free from the dominance of the ECHR, regaining autonomy in handling deportations and border control. In a recent interview, when asked about his close relationship with Donald Trump and his controversial remarks, Farage candidly responded that everything Trump says, even if ridiculed, ultimately becomes true. Farage also referenced the story of cats and dogs, arguing that mocking those who believe in divine intervention is unfair, as many have faith and feel they are saved. When discussing Keir Starmer, Farage holds nothing back. He criticises Starmer as someone who only talks without taking action, particularly regarding major issues like immigration. According to Farage, Starmer just sits idly by while the UK's immigration crisis worsens. He does not hesitate to label Starmer as an ineffective leader who avoids tough decisions rather than taking real action. Farage's disappointment is evident in his use of the latest immigration figures to illustrate how the Labour Party has let the public down. Farage believes that the immigration statistics are merely the tip of the iceberg, and the reality shows that the Labour Party lacks a clear plan to govern the country. He challenges Starmer to take action, but subtly expresses his doubt that Starmer has the capability to do so. Farage emphasises that throughout his political career, he has built a solid foundation in Parliament, proving that people can indeed bring about change by voting for reform. The better prepared one is, the higher the chances for political change. He even accuses Starmer of complicity in prolonging this crisis instead of seeking effective solutions. Finally, Farage questions whether the Labour Party will actually fulfil any of its promises or if they are all just empty words. He asserts that Starmer shares equal responsibility with illegal border crossers for allowing the situation to persist. Farage claims that as long as Starmer remains in power, there will not be much positive change. This is a bold statement, and Farage is ready to defend it with strong criticism. So, what do you think about this? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to receive the latest political news from across the country.